Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. So this is a video on the event Harvest Party, and we're going to go through each of the different things about it and also go over the new mount and artifact that they released with it. Okay, so first of all, just like any other event, they have the shop where you can actually buy the mount, the artifact, and a bunch of other things, as well as 10 attempts in the wheel for 15,000 diamonds. I always buy this because I always have excess diamonds that I can actually use in order to reduce the number of money that I have to spend to get the artifact or the mount. Not today, of course. There is the mount rush, so you can see my diamonds are pretty low, but I will get this tomorrow. Now, this shop is actually pretty helpful because a lot of times you do collect these items, like the turkey badge in this case, earlier than you'd actually get the 500 draws for the bird or the 1,000 draws for the artifact. So if you're not very lucky, this provides you a little bit of a cushion and you don't really have to go all the way through to 500 or 1,000. You can actually just buy it using badges, probably at a cheaper price. So that's a good thing to note here. Now, the Master Chef is essentially as you collect ingredients, and by the way, the ingredients are coming from these, the party schedule. You can see I'm getting flour and a bunch of these other ingredients from doing the daily tasks. And then if I have the required ingredients, I can actually cook the meal. For example, for roast turkey, I already have the turkey, so I can already cook it. But you can notice that right now it is ranked C. And the ranking is essentially tells us what is the quality of the meal that you're going to prepare. Now, before we talk about quality, you can see that one of them is already S, right? The quality comes into factor here. You can donate food, and based on that, you get certain experience, and that experience levels you up. And as you level up, you get certain prizes. For example, you get multiple draws that can help you get the mount or the artifact. So you definitely do want to advance in these levels, and the way to do that is by doing this. So right now, I could create a roast turkey at a C class, but I could also just upgrade the recipe and make it S. And how that works is that they ask you a series of questions, and based on if you answered them right or wrong, it gives you a certain rank. So right now with C, let's answer these questions based on what we understand. So cut off the wings and fat, cut off fat, or cut randomly. Let's say cut off wings and fat. Okay, then they're asking us, do we put salt, secret sauce, or nothing? I'll say salt. Okay, utensils, let's say pressure cooker, and then you cook it, and then you're supposed to stop at the point where it reaches that orange marker, and there we go. And then they're asking for flavor. Vanilla, salt, or none. Well, I'll put salt again, but I guess maybe we already put salt earlier, so maybe that one was a mistake. Well, let's see. Cooking complete, and they tell you which answers were correct, and based on how many stars you got, it actually upgrades the recipe. Okay, so to get it to the S, I need to answer everything correctly. So let's do that now. Cut off wings and fat. We're going to add the secret sauce. We're going to put it in the oven, and we are going to stop it at the perfect time. There we go. And then we add salt at the end, and there you go. Everything correct, and it is now S. So now if I actually cook the roast turkey, it gives me a red roast turkey, which is going to give me much more points than I otherwise would have gotten, right? And then if you go to feast prepping, and if I actually donate the turkey, there you go. I got this, and I also increased the experience from here. Now, I wonder if this is a server level thing, because as you noticed before, I didn't start at 0 experience. So maybe it is across the whole server. So there's that. There's the King of Party, which is essentially ranking based on how many times you've actually rolled. So you can see people at the top, they already have the mount. The Reunion of Friends actually allows you to give gifts to others to help them in the event. The Autumn Sale, well, it gives you the opportunity to buy those gifts that you can give to others, and you can also get a bunch of other items if you need them. This one is, of course, pretty nice. It allows you to get a bunch of draws at a very cheap price, and some of them are actually completely free, but you've probably seen this in all the other events as well. And then finally, this is where you use your draws. So let's talk about the mount. So first of all, global defense 10%. It's always nice because upgrading a mount is always more expensive to give you this small boost in the global stats, but getting a new mount is always the best deal, because if I get this bird, the first time I unlock it, I get a 10% global defense, but as I try to star it up further, the amount of copies that I need to star it up keeps increasing, and the bonus is particularly small, right? So it's a 2% global defense to get it to 1 star. I believe the copies then become 2 copies to get it to the next star, and I think the jump is still 2%. So the first unlock, always the best. best. So there's a 50% chance to gain 4% attack and 4% damage res and 10% control duration reduction every 4 seconds after the battle starts. So 4% attack, 4% damage res, and 10% control duration reduction is pretty cool, and you're getting it every 4 seconds at a 50% chance. And it lasts until the end of battle and stacks up to 3 times, and the chances of the 3 effects are independently calculated, which means that there's a 50% chance that you might get a 4% attack, a 50% chance you get a 4% damage res, and a 50% chance you get a 10% control duration. So statistically speaking, every 4 seconds, you're probably going to get at least one of them, or maybe 2, or if you're lucky, you might get all 3. And it can stack up to 3 times. So what you're talking about is a 12% attack, 12% damage res, and a 30% reduction in the control duration. But that's not it. There's another thing. There's also a 100% chance to grant the summon 4% attack, 4% damage res, 10% control duration until the summon disappears, stacking up to 3 times. So if you have a summon, it guarantees giving them a 4% attack, 4% damage res, and 10% control duration reduction. And I'm assuming this is also every 4 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. So an interesting thing is that it allows you to not only get these attack, damage res, and the ability to reduce the control effects for yourself, but also for summons until they disappear, which is useful as well. So overall in PvP, I think the fact that you get attack, damage res, and something to do with control effects, it's always good. And that's why I love the Panda mount, and that's why I thought the Blue Ox was also amazing for the same reason. And the long-legged bird, it does fit into the similar criteria. Now, if I'm to compare it with the Panda, I'm not entirely sure if I think that this mount is better than the Panda. The Panda gives control immunity, so you don't get the control to begin with. And it also gives you an attack and damage res of 5 to 12%. Now, the only thing is that this disappears and then you get another one, whereas in that bird, you're getting it and it sticks around until the end of battle. So for longer fights, I'd say that the long-legged bird does have a little bit of an advantage over the Panda. But for shorter fights like Plume Monarchs, I'd say the Panda still comes on top. That's my analysis of it, because I think that the control immunity probably has a little bit of a better impact than reduction in the duration. Okay, how about the Scythe? Well, first of all, you get global attack of 10%. Same as before, global stats are amazing. And what I really love about it is that it gives a straightforward 10% increase in attack when the battle starts. And that is obviously good because attack is very useful, and I can already see that a bunch of mages would probably love it because they love to stack their attack really high and try to just eliminate enemies in one hit. So a 10% increase in attack is probably pretty cool for them. But then it says that whenever a character, Bal, Avian, or Summon deals damage, for every 1% of the target's HP that's higher than your character's HP, the final damage goes up by 0.6% up to 30%, which is really cool. So if you're fighting a big tank and they have a ton of HP, you can actually end up doing 30% extra final damage to them if your HP is lower than them. So I'd say this is a pretty nice artifact. It's very offense driven, giving you attack and then also increasing your final damage, assuming your health is going to be less than the enemy. Now, if you're using this with the cheetah, your health is going to be 0% for the duration of the cheetah's effect. So you'll be doing an extra 30% final damage to them for that duration of the cheetah effect, and you're already such a powerful big hitter during that time, so this final damage is going to make a huge impact. Not just that, you're getting a global attack, you're also getting a 10% increase in attack, so you will be hitting really hard with the cheetah mount if you use it with the artifact. I think it's going to work really well together. I have not tried it, of course, but I think based on reading this, it can go really far. And since I still have you here, I do want you to know that you can get between 10 to 35% bonus on in-game purchases in the Legend of Mushroom. Do check out the video that I'm linking in the description below. The video has all of the steps in it, and it also tells you what's the latest promo code that you need to use to get these amazing bonuses. And join our Discord, because in our Discord, I can keep you updated with the latest news about these promo codes and make sure that you never miss an updated promo code. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.